like a chair to pass it
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, who can tell me what did we learn yesterday? If you just reach up and what did we learn yesterday? Yes. Population. And what again?
small groups and trying to
So what did we say? What name is given to the small group? As he said, yes.
Population and sample.
Yeah, we learned population and sample. How do you define population? I want someone to explain. So the population means what? The total. What about the sample? Yes. The sample is what? It's a part. So out of the general population is where we get what? The sample. Okay? Very good. I like this. So today we are going to continue on the population and sample. But before I start, I want you guys to take note of the essential question that must come into your mind. This is our essential question, which is the YIQ, which says, how can proportions be used to make an inference about a population? So, we are going to use proportions to make our inferences, right? And if I say inferences, what do I mean by inferences? So we are saying once a sample has been collected from a population, an inference about the entire population can be made by setting up a proportion. I want each one of you to underline the word proportion. Make sure you underline the word proportion. That is the key word for this afternoon's lesson. Now, if you guys may remember, we have learned how to use proportion before. So what do I mean by proportion? If I say proportion, what do I mean by saying proportion?
Part.
Now, proportion, don't forget, proportion means what? So look at the definition of proportion. We are saying proportion Now, if you say proportion, it means what? Proportion means equations with two ratios. Equations with two ratios. So we are going to use proportions for all the questions that we are going to go through. So look here. So for example, if I have 2 over 3 is equal to 4 over 6. Now, 2 over 3, this 2 becomes a ratio. 2 is to 3 is the first ratio. And then we say it's equal to 4 is to 6. So because we have two equations, so we say they are proportions. So as I told you, proportions means equations with two ratios. So we have first ratio and the other ratio. So we are going to use this proportion idea to solve for this particular topic, which is called population inferences. So another example that I can get by creating my proportion is, let's say, 5 over 15, or 5 is to 15 is equal to 1/3, or 1 is to 3. This has been my another proportion. So if we talk of proportions, it means equations with two ratios. Now we are going to use this understanding to make our inferences. So now look here. Now, so with this question, we are still going to use part over a whole. Don't forget, we've learned something before, so part over a whole. You guys remember this one?
Yes.
Good. So this part over a whole will be our first ratio. And we are going to equate to. Now in the question, we are going to ask to use this ratio. How are you going to find a percentage out of this ratio? Good. So we haven't gone to that place yet. But if we are asked to find a percentage of any, so if you are asked to find the percentage of this ratio by creating, so we are going to create this this one to get us our proportions. So in the question, they can ask us to find the percentage of something. So in percentage, you can tell me. Percentage means something over what? You can tell me. Something over what? Yes. Something over 100. So assuming we say we know the part and then we know the whole of this first ratio, and then we are asked what would be the percentage of this ratio. So we are going to equate this one into. So we are saying, let's say that that portion is x that we don't know, x percent over us. She said over 100. So this has been my ratio. So I've created this ratio. Are you guys with me?
No.
So look here. Let me go over. So this has been our part and then the whole. I'm going to use the question to explain much further. So as we start using the question, you are going to understand me very well. Okay. So at this stage, so here become our sample or sample. And then we are asked to change our sample into a percentage. Now in the question, we are also going to ask to write another, so our next ratio is going to be, now if I write this P over O, this P stands for what? Who can tell me the P stands for what?
Parts over whole.
And then W stands for what?
Oh.
O. So I'm going to write this, I'm going to create my proportion, which is I'm going to write another equation for that. So here, assuming in the question it says, now we are given this ratio and we are asked to find, let me use this S to be, let's say, let S be the number of what? Let's say students. Now in the question, so we are given the first proportion, and then we are asked to, and then we are also given another population, which is, let's say 420. They have changed this first proportion into, so if you are asked to find how many students are going to be, let's say, enrolled, when we have a new population, which is of 420. So this time round, so here, in this way, we are doing what are we doing? We are prediction. We are doing a prediction. So prediction. So if you are going to predict, how many students are we going to see when the number has changed from this whole number to this 420? So we are going to use the questions to see what we are going to do. And don't forget, at this stage, we are going to apply our cross multiplication method or the butterfly method. Are you with me? We are going to use the cross multiplication method that we learned some few months ago. You guys remember?
Yes.
Good. So let's go back to the handout that is given to you, and we are going to use these formulas to see how to use them to solve for our inferences. So let's see in the notes we have, it says, once a sample has been collected from a proportion, from a population, an inference, I want everybody to write this one down. Write this down, inferences. So an inference about the entire population can be made by using or by setting up a proportion. And I've already explained what a proportion to you. You know how to set up a proportion. And then we are saying these inferences can also be used to compare different populations and make what prediction. And make predictions. So this is just the introduction or the meaning of what population inferences. Now we are given this question. It says Eastside Middle School conducted a survey of randomly selected 6th graders to determine which elective they were most likely to participate. The results are shown in the table. Now, the first question. So before we go to the question A, now how many students want to do Spanish? How many?
14.
Good. And how many want to do theater?
20.
What about the art?
6.
Very good. So the question is asking us, how many students were surveyed? So the question, question A wants the total number of students who.
30.
So how do you get the totals?
Add them up.
So we are going to add 14, 20, and 16. So if you add these three numbers, what are you going to get?
40.
40. So we have our 40 here. So here becomes 40. But don't forget, the question is about what? Students. So don't forget to label your answer. So we say 40 students. Always don't forget to label your answer. Now, question B. Here is B. B is asking us, it says, what percentage of students surveyed selected what subject? The Spanish as their elective. So how many students choose Spanish?
14.
14. So this is where I'm going to create my proportion. Don't forget, in our introduction, we are saying before you can make any inference, you must know how to create or form a proportion. So so based on this question, I'm going to get my proportion. Now the question says what percentage. It is always advisable to underline the key words that the person wants us to find. So here we are going to find the percentage of what? Students surveyed selected Spanish. So now Spanish has how many?
14.
How many students? 14, right? So here becomes our part over the whole. So the part over whole is going to be the Spanish. The Spanish over, what will be the whole?
14.
The whole will be what? Will be the total number of what? Of students. And so how many students want to do Spanish? 14. So this is the 14. Over how many? So what will be the total number of the students for the whole thing?
40.
That is 40. So this has been my first ratio. And I'm going to equate this one because the person wants us to find 14 over 40. This ratio, we are going to create the percentage for 14 over 40. And that is going to be our proportion. So let's use this as to represent the number of what? To stand for the percentage. And don't forget, every percentage means what? It's over 100. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Good. So at this stage, I'm going to apply my cross multiplication or the cross product, which sometimes we call it the butterfly method. So at this stage, so we have been able to create our proportion based on what? Based on the question. Are you with me?
Yep.
Okay. So what is 40 times x?
40x.
So here I'm going to do this way. So that is the cross multiplication. So this 40 is going to multiply the s, and then this 14 is also going to multiply the 100. So 40 times s is what? 40x. And then it's equal to What is 14 times 100?
1,400.
1,400. How do I find my x?
Divide
Divide
both
40.
sides by 40.
So here we are just applying our simple equation. So 40 divided by 40, here 2 by 40. So I'm left with what? S is equal to, if you divide 1,400 by 40, what do you get? You can use your calculator. Yes,
35.
35. So you get 35. And so how do you label this 35?
X equals 35.
So this 35 is what? That is the percentage. So that is 35%. Are you with me?
Yes.
Any question?
No.
Very good. Now I'm going to do C, and then I'm going to allow you guys to do the rest. So based on this understanding, I'm going to expect you to be able to do the D and then the E. I'm going to do another example with question number C. Now we are going to underline the keywords in the question. Now this time around it says there are 350 students. How many students?
350.
It means they have changed the number of what? Population. We are now giving a different population. And then it says, so there are 350 students in the 6th grade at Eastside Middle School. Using this sample, about how many students can be expected to sign up for what subject? Art. Okay, so here, now we are going to find, so here will be our, let's create our sample population for this one. So now we are saying art. How many students are studying art?
6.
6. So here I will say 6. So we are still using the part over the W. I'm now going to create my ratio. So the part over W.
6.
And then what will be the new population given to us?
350.
Good. So we have the population, the new population. So we are going to equate this one. So here too. So for the part, so this one, for the art, how many are, so we know we have 6. So 6 over how many? The total is what? 40, right?
40.
So 6 over 40 is equal to this population. This time around, we are going to use this S to stand for the number of students who are now, we are going to use this S to stand for the number of students who are going to study what? Art. When it has been changed from, it has been changed to what? 350. So here becomes, here is about 350. So in this way, I have been able to create my proportion. Don't forget, we are still using what? The part over the W for both sides. So this is the part over the whole for this one, and this one is the part over the whole. Is this making sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So in this way, we are now going to solve for x, and we are still going to use the same cross multiplication. So what is 40 times x? So I'm going to do, so this 40 is going to multiply the x here, and then this 6 also going to multiply the 350. So if I multiply this 40 to the x, if you multiply 40 to x, what do you get?
2,000.
So you get 40x, right? You have 40x. Then it's equal to, what is 6 times 350? If you multiply 6 to 350, what do you get?
2,100.
So 2,100. So how do I find my x? Divide goes about 40. So here is over 40,
82.
here 2 over 40. So 40 will cancel itself. So it's left leaving the x alone. So here I have my x is equal to. Now divide 2,100 by 40.
You get 52.5.
So you get a 52.5. Now, because we are, this S stands for the number of students who want to study art when the figure is changed from this to 350. Now, when you are calculating for animals or human beings, and you get your answer like 52.5. Now, since human beings, we don't have a half of human beings, so I'm going to round this one as a whole number. So
It'll be
this will give you what? S is equal to what?
53%.
53. 50. And don't forget to name your answer. So 53 what? Students. Is this making sense to you?
Yes.
Very good. Then, based on this understanding, I'm giving you guys 5 minutes. Calculate for question number, calculate for the D, and then the E. I'm giving you just 5 minutes for each. So 5 minutes to calculate for the D, and also 5 minutes to calculate for the E. So I'll be going around. If you need extra, just draw my attention. Yes.